What if the key to scaling your business wasn't working harder, hiring faster, or checking more boxes, but something you've already got right in front of you, your time? And what if the key to getting exponentially more results from your time is not by getting better at managing it, but something you've likely never even heard of? In this episode, I'm going to introduce you to the concept of time scaling. This game changing shift is going to help you grow your impact and income while actually reclaiming hours in your week. Hello, working less and making more. We'll unpack why the world's approach to scaling leaves more Christian women business owners overworked and underfulfilled, and how God's approach to time can free you from that cycle. Girl, you're going to want to stick around because we're about to dive into what time scaling is and why it changes everything about growth. The hidden cost of scaling the world's way, how to start multiplying results without multiplying hours, and the kingdom time principles that make scaling sustainable. Plus, I have a free resource that I have to help you make time scaling your new norm as a CEO. So, if your growth has been slow, stuck, or in a stop start cycle for way too long, and you think more results means more hustle and more time, then this episode is going to open your eyes to a better way. And I have a feeling you're going to love this new approach. So let's dive in. Welcome back to the Redeem Her Time podcast. In case you haven't noticed or felt it, something exciting is coming soon. A CEO time warp, a radical shift into a new dimension of time that you can scale your God-given business without scaling your hours. Dare I say, even while scaling back your hours? Talk about a shift out of business owner time where most women get stuck, no matter what level of business you're in. So, if busyness as usual is not what you want to become your norm and the results and burnout that come with it, then plan to join us August 26, 27, and 28 for this 3-day experience to scale up your results while scaling back your hours. Yes, there are replays, but let's be honest, who really finishes replays anyway? The real value is always being in the room, focused, doing in real time workshopping, and getting my right then and there feedback as you build out a time scaling tool each day. But let me warn you, this is not another take notes and hope to get back to them later, but actually never get around to it kind of training, webinar, or challenge that you've been in the past, where there's more fluff than actual stuff that's going to make a difference. Because, girl, you are going to start using what we create each day to scale your time before we're done and start reaping the results. So be sure to grab your spot now, plus access some bonus resources at redeemhertime.com/warp. Oh, and by the way, permission to share it with a business bestie or a few. Now, last week on episode 343, we talked about what a CEO time warp is and why you need it to shift out of business owner time into CEO kingdom time. So feel free to go back and listen or re-listen after this episode. But today, we're going to dive deeper into a concept I introduced to you. In fact, I created it in my time with the Lord and found no one else is talking about it. What is it? Time scaling. Sound intriguing? I thought so. So, Lissa, what is time scaling? I'm so glad you asked. First, let's start with a good definition of scale. You know, as a former English teacher, I love me a good definition so we know what we're talking about. So when I looked up scaling, apparently the main definition is removing scales from a fish. Lovely image. But unless you're in the bait and tackle business, it's probably not the kind of scaling that you're thinking of. So when we scroll down for the definition of scaling in business terms, here's what it means. Scaling is increasing revenue without a corresponding increase in cost. In other words, becoming more efficient with your process so you get more output without significantly more expenses. Good concept, right? What business owner doesn't want that? But here's the twist. Scaling isn't just about profit margins. That's why I've created a concept that you won't find on Google. I call it time scaling. For a CEO, time scaling means exponentially more impact without more time. Dare I even say with less time? And that's possible when you have time scaling schedules, systems, and strategies in place. All the more reason to be part of the CEO time warp. Now, look at that definition. Did you notice the very definition of scale is rooted in time? More output in less time? Yes, even if you're prepping that fresh catch to eat. And because it's focused on increasing the output of time while decreasing the input, it's all rooted in ROTI, return on time invested. Now, here's what I want to make clear. Time scaling is not how do I get more done in less time or how do I check more boxes faster? It's actually how do I create more impact with my time so that time becomes the accelerant for my growth. And girl, this roadie focus is how you scale results up while scaling back your hours. But traditional time management, which focuses on keeping time under control, the color coded time blocks, the organized to do lists, the well intentioned goal setting, girl, that will never create exponential results. It just keeps you in maintenance mode. That's why time scaling is all about something else we talk a lot around here. Time stewardship. Just the other morning, I was in the Word in my CEO daily meeting with God when 1 Corinthians 4:2 literally jumped off the page. It says, "It is required of stewards that they be found trustworthy." You see, a steward is someone entrusted to protect and expand a resource that isn't theirs. They are being called to invest it according to the owner's purpose. All the more reason that a steward needs to be trustworthy because you're making important decisions on behalf of someone else. And that's why I often talk about the difference between managing and stewarding, because managers maintain, but stewards multiply. Do you remember the parable in Matthew 25? The servant who managed his one talent, aka kept it contained and under control, he was called a wicked and lazy servant when the master returned. Why? Because he didn't understand why it had been given to him, let alone do with it what he should have done with it, because he didn't know the master. The master took what he had and gave it to the ones who multiplied what they'd been given. The servant who'd been entrusted with two and the one who'd been entrusted with five, who went out and invested it on behalf of the master to expand his kingdom and double his asset. And what response did they hear? Well done, good and faithful servant. And not only that, but because they were trustworthy with little, they were given more to steward and they were invited into the master's presence. You see, as believers, we understand we don't own anything our time, our talents, our treasures. And as such, we can't or shouldn't approach time, business, or scaling like it all belongs to us because it doesn't. And as long as we stay in manager mode, we're only going to experience that addition and subtraction math, and probably more subtraction than you'd like to admit, right? But God's math, aka kingdom math, is about multiplication and exponents. Those little tiny numbers that have a big impact on the outcome. Notice that anywhere in scripture, when God is involved, there's never lack or even just enough. The harvest is always abundant 30, 60, 100-fold. Girl, that is a 10,000% increase, by the way. How is that for scaling? And get this, because he is the author of time and beyond time, it doesn't have to take decades or even years for that kind of growth, because God can make it happen in just 1 year. Another often missed verse stood out to me a few months ago in Genesis 26:12. You know this one? It says, Isaac planted where God told him on someone else's land, when God told him on his way traveling through, both of which didn't make sense. So Isaac planted and in the same year reaped 100-fold. Do you see the outcome scaled so much that the people around him, FYI, they were the Philistines, a future enemy of Isaac's line, actually noticed? It says they envied him, just like any farmer would do when they saw someone else had a crazy good harvest compared to theirs. They'd be asking, what does he know that I don't? Does that kind of sound familiar? Like what we're tempted to do as business owners when scrolling Instagram or Facebook? But what I love is that Isaac's results were so far beyond what anyone, including the Philistines, could even imagine being humanly possible that even they gave credit to the Lord, saying a few verses later, we plainly see the Lord has been with you. Girl, wouldn't it be amazing if your business growth was so great that everyone around you, including unbelievers, looked to the Lord? It makes me think of one of my favorite passages, John 15, where Jesus reminds us that apart from him, we can do nothing. But with him, we will bear such abundant fruit that's to his glory and will be obvious to others that he is with us. I don't know about you, but that's the kind of fruitfulness, aka results from my time, that I want to produce. So, yes, more income or impact from your time may feel good, but more kingdom impact, girl, now we're talking, right? But the problem is, most busyness owners, aka those who are working longer and harder, thinking that more is what's going to scale their business, will never experience the time and roadie abundance because, well, they're stuck in busyness owner time. Go back to episode 343 for more on that. But around here, we're about CEO time. And that's all about where to invest to get the most impact with your time. And this is what time scaling is all about. So, do you want to know how CEOs focus on time scaling? I thought so. Scaling CEOs don't have time to waste or even just spend. They invest. So let me show you four things they don't have time for and what they do instead. Are you ready to jot these down? Number one, scaling CEOs don't have time for squirrel chasing, aka distractions from everything around you, or let's be honest, what's going on inside you. You see, too many busyness owners at all levels spend their day in reaction mode, chasing every shiny object or saying yes to every interruption, or trying to do it all at once, followed by multitasking, all the while diluting their focus and wasting precious time, wondering why they're not moving ahead, let alone getting much traction, or worse, falling behind. But CEOs, Christ empowered operators, know that their 24 hours have value and purpose, and so does the life and business they've been entrusted. So they create healthy boundaries around when it's time to work and when it's not. That's why on day one of the CEO Time Warp, Work Less with Time Scaling Schedules, we'll not only just look at how to create healthy boundaries around your time, but we'll actually build out your 24-hour work week and establish those business hour boundaries so you'll never again allow distractions, aka squirrels, to pull you away from what matters. Who needs some clear boundaries around your time to be more present to what it's time for? All right, number two, scaling CEOs don't have time for handholding, aka distraction from your team. Again, too many busyness owners at all levels of income think that bringing on more team will give them back more time. But they find they spend more time babysitting and double checking, such that it feels like it would have been easier, faster, and cheaper to just do it themselves. This is a big problem for six and multi six figure business owners. Their team feels like a time subtractor, not a time multiplier. So, if you already have a team of any size, you know what I mean. And if you don't yet, then girl, you're going to want to catch this so you can save all that wasted time and money when you do. That's why on day two of the CEO Time Warp, Activate Team Output with Time Scaling Systems, we're going to talk about how to turn your team or your team or your time for now into an asset that truly drives revenue and growth and that frees up your time. How? By using my scalable SOPs template to create or refine your hello to let's go workflow. That way, you'll be able to start seamlessly handing off more to team members or implement yourself such that it feels like you just brought on a new hire. Because more team shouldn't mean more babysitting. Now, who wants their team to run efficiently and be more productive? Number three, scaling CEOs don't have time for box checking, aka distraction from tyranny the urgent and all the daily stuff of business. Too many business owners spend the majority of their time stuck in the weeds of daily task list, putting out fires, or just trying to keep up or catch up. Girl, those all keep you in maintenance or rather survival mode, and you're never going to see real growth because you're spending so much time in your business. But CEOs take time to pull back to get a 30,000-foot view of where they're going so they can invest time in the bigger picture projects, opportunities, and initiatives that will propel them to that desired destination, aka hit those goals, especially in less time. That's why on day three of the CEO Time Warp, Reach Goals Faster with Time Scaling Strategy, we're not only going to pull up to where you can clearly see where you want to be by the end of the year, we're also going to lay out a roadie growth map with the key milestones and timelines to get you there before the holidays hit, which are just over 3 months away, and keep you from putting that goal or project on the back burner again. Who wants a clear map to work on your business, not just in it, and see significant growth by the end of the year? And here's a bonus. Scaling CEOs don't have time for one-day businesses. Where you've got these things like business boundaries and scalable SOPs and a growth map on paper, but you don't have the time to actually use them in your business. Because, girl, plans are useless if they stay on paper. That will only be wasted time. And that is why I'm throwing in the CEO Time Warp Bonus Day. Profit more with the time scaling roadie method. We're going to map out three time scaling CEO essentials to help you implement everything we've covered and apply the time stewardship multiplier to really make things take off without taking you out. Because I'm guessing you didn't go into business to give up all your time, but to get back your time and to get back more from your time. Am I right? That's the essence of time scaling. And who doesn't want that? You see how the CEO time warp I shared with you is the accelerant that you need to propel you into time scaling? And here's the thing. Time scaling isn't about hitting a limit that's as far as your results can go and then stopping. It's about growing beyond where you are now by continuing to invest and multiply, aka scale, the same 24 hours without hitting a glass ceiling. You see, time scaling is the 6 and 7 figure skill that stops the slow, stagnant, or start type growth cycles that no one is talking about. It's why you don't need more tips, more team, or more time, aka hours in your workday, to scale and experience exponential growth. Girl, you just need a CEO time warp, one that will help you build schedules, systems, and strategies to scale your time and your team or future team's time, and scale your impact for kingdom purposes. Because when you enter this new dimension of kingdom time, you will experience the exceedingly abundantly beyond all we could ask or imagine for His glory kind of results. And that's why you don't want to miss the CEO Time Warp next week. Because we're about to disrupt business as usual, aka busyness as usual, right? And we are going to make time scaling your new normal as a CEO. So, what are you waiting for? Because CEOs don't have time for squirrel chasing, for hand holding, or for box checking. They are getting to work with God with their time. So grab your spot at redeemhertime.com/warp. And just so you know, the party is already getting started over inside the Redeemer Time community. So be sure to come join us with the link in the show notes where we'll talk and do more about this. Thanks for joining me for this episode. And until next time, remember, instead of chasing time in a clock, trying to control it, receive the gift of time from the one who truly holds it. Because as his daughter, you have time.